With our front apron flash in place, we're ready to work our way up the sides. So we have made right here a custom-made side flashing. This is known as a connection flashing. The metal roofing supplier also pre-makes this flashing, so you don't have to make your own, but the profile looks very similar to this right here, where you have a flat and then a 45-degree bend and another flat. So both the apron flash and this connection flash are available from the supplier. But before we can lay it in place and trace, we need to cut that gasket out of the way. So I like to lay this flashing down where it's going to go. And I'm just going to press it into the gasket to get a line, and we'll cut that clean out of there. So it's going to be about like that. Yeah. Yeah. And we've left that gasket just a little bit long, which helps it to seal against the flashing. Yeah, it looks real nice. All right, so we're going to take this flashing and lay it down in here like so. And I'm going to have Bo do some tracing for me. So I'm going to hold this down where I'm going to eventually install it and push all of our flashing up tight together, and he's going to trace at a 45-degree angle up from the corner and then up like this right here. And that's where we're going to make our cut. There we go. So if I pull that away, I have a mark right here that's going to help me when I make my cut, so I can fold this piece around. So with that done, I can hop in with my pair of snips and cut back toward that mark that he made. And we can lay this piece of flashing right back in where it was, holding everything nice and tight, and bend this around. So nice firm pressure. We've bent that around, and this tab that remains is in the way, so we're just going to cut it off. And I can overbend a little bit here so that fits snug. So when these two come together, we'll have a nice tight fit. And what we'll need to do, since we have a seam here, is we'll go ahead and put a screw right through here, and we'll do the same over there, remove that screw and put it through the piece. So this piece is looking good. Now before we screw it, we will need to make another cut, because up at the top here, this is going to be in the way of our cricket flash or our top apron flash. So I'm going to hold everything together here, and I'm going to have to go through and make a snip just like I did before. So I'm going to come in, my brick comes down to about here, and I need to make a cut right through here about like this, and then we'll fold it around that line right there. So I'm going to make a snip back to here. Thank you. And we'll see how that fits. Are you flush on the very tip? Down a little bit. And again, we can fold this piece around just like so. This is actually going to be up a little bit. It's not going to be flat. Let's lift your, there we go, just like that. All right, we can pull that away. Now this extra triangle here again will be in the way, as well as this whole tab. So I'm going to take my square and cut this totally off right about here. And now we can test fit one more time. And we'll call that pretty good right there. So that's passing the test here. So now our next step is to fasten this with screws. So I'm going to hold it, and Bo's going to put a few screws And actually, before we do so, anytime you're fastening through a piece of flashing down in the flat, here we were in the rib, but here we're in the flat, we need to make sure those penetrations get sealed. So I've flipped this flashing over, and we're going to install some lap tape, also known as mastic, on that flange. So I'm going to take my mastic, I'll put it upside down, roll it out, and I'll have Bo cut that off for me. And this mastic tape, for lack of a better phrase, it's kind of like silly putty. So it stays sticky and moldable, and it will make sure any fasteners that go through this flange are sealed, but it will also keep water from getting behind this flashing. So we're going to lay this out right on the piece, like so, and press it down. And then we can remove our paper backing. And if there's any extra, that can be cut off by pressing it against the metal. So with our mastic in place, and I hold it away from the edge of the flashing so when we press it, it doesn't stick out. We're going to go ahead and lay this down where we want it. And once you stick it, you really can't move it with that mastic. All right, so we're ready for our first screw, which we're going to place right down here in the center of this flat. And when that screw tightens, that mastic gets smashed and we have a seal underneath the screw. So we're sealed at the top with the screw on the, or the washer on the screw, and underneath by the mastic. Now here I'm going to make sure our flashing is remaining flat. It looks like we're going to need a screw right here, Bo. So he's going to go right through this overlap and through the gasket, and the gasket will be our seal underneath this particular. We don't need mastic down there. There you go. Yep. And that holds that down nice and tight so we're nice and firm. Now coming up, I'm going to put my fingers under to make sure I still have my nice gap. And we're looking good, so he can go ahead and put, normally here you can keep screws 16 to 24. On this mock-up, we'll put one in the middle and one up here toward the top. And we can do one more here toward the top. Now with this side complete, we're going to go ahead and repeat the process on the other side, and then we'll be ready for the very top.